Okay, we're going to do a little Cooking with Bob episode today. This is, I'm going to call this garlic Italian pancakes. It's kind of a variation of a Paffle recipe. It's just eggs and pork rinds and a little bit of seasoning. The recipe calls for melted butter, but I'm going to add the melted butter by melting the butter in the skillet. A lot of people will put these in little pieces in the in a waffle maker, a little mini waffle iron. But I'm going to take, as you can see, I'm not being very exact. I'm just going to put, because there's 6 eggs, I'm going to put 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 extra big scoop of pork panko. Then we'll mix that up and see how it looks for our batter. If it's a little bit ends up too thick, you can add a little bit of water to it. If it ends up a little bit too runny, you can add another spoonful of pork panko. But before we get that all the way mixed up, I need to grab just a tiny little bit of baking soda. And then I'm going to put just a couple little sprinkles of garlic powder into it. A couple sprinkles of Italian seasoning. Now I know garlic powder and the Italian seasoning are not specifically carnivore, but I kind of like it that way. And then some salt. And I've discovered through a couple of experimentations with this that you can't be in a hurry to get it mixed, because if you don't get it really mixed really good, you'll end up with pieces in there that just taste like egg. And the whole point of this is to be on a basically ground beef and egg diet. I'm going to want another scoops of pork panko there. The whole point of this is to be on basically an all egg and ground beef diet without being on an egg and ground beef diet, basically finding a way to do something. Now, I usually don't get tired of just having scrambled eggs, but every once in a while I like something a little different. So that looks about right. Now I'm going to turn this over here. Make sure you can see into the skillet. And the butter is a little bit too hot. Let me turn that down a little bit. It's starting to brown up a little bit. Don't necessarily want that, but then I'll and this is just like filling your waffle maker, except here we're putting it in a buttered skillet, and I would just let that sit for I don't know, you can see how it's bubbling around the edges. I'm going to let that cook for about 1.5 minutes aside and see how it comes out. May have to increase the time just a little bit. Okay, this has been going for about 2 minutes now, and you can see that it's actually rising a little bit between the pork panko and just the little shot of baking powder I put in it. It's rising a lot like a pancake does. I'm going to let that cook just a little bit more. It's kind of running out the side. I want to let it get a little more solid before I try to flip it. But you can make these in a skillet like this, or you can just make them in a mini waffle iron and turn them into buns for like a hamburger. There's a lot of different things you can do with this, and the whole point of it is to make something that you can use as either a hamburger bun, or a hot dog bun, or just a pancake, or some other way to eat eggs without just eating eggs. And you can season it however you like. Maybe I'll try one of these with just a little bit of cinnamon in it.
Interrupt your video for just a moment to tell you that the garlic and Italian seasoning pancakes are much more suitable for dinner than a breakfast. And I did end up making a small batch the next day with cinnamon. Just cinnamon as the seasoning, and they turned out very good. That would be very appropriate for a breakfast style of pancake. One of the things that I did notice, because the egg and the pork rind mixture is so flavor neutral, it doesn't take very much spice to really taste it. I mean, because you saw when I made that, I just put a couple little shakes of garlic in that, and it was very garlicky. I imagine there's many different ways you can try these, and of course you saw I just spread butter on mine. If you're keto and using some sugar-free stuff, the cinnamon ones with a little bit of sugar-free, keto-friendly syrup might be good. I don't do that kind of stuff, but you know, my way is not everybody's way. What I do should have no bearing on what you do, because you've done your N=1 experiment, and you know what works for you. Now back to the video.
See how that comes out sometime, but I'm really liking the just a little bit of garlic and a little bit of Italian seasoning for a very nice hamburger bun / pancake. Now this should turn out flip okay. And you can see on the back side it doesn't actually look a lot like a pancake, but it does a little bit. And you can see there's a couple of spots right there that are white. That's some egg white that didn't get mixed in all the way. But once this is done, we'll put it on a plate, and I add even more butter to the top of it, and it should be pretty good. And as you can see, now I'm just spreading a little more butter on top of it. A couple of spots where I didn't quite cook it long enough on the side before I flipped it, so I got this little runoff out to the side. But as you can see, it kind of cuts like a pancake, but it's still just egg and pork rinds, and you can see there's still some white in there. I got a little ahead of myself. Maybe mixing this in a blender or something would make it even better. But this is a very good way to get more eggs into your system without feeling like you're eating eggs, because it really does sort of taste like a pancake. Well, except it's got garlic and Italian seasoning in it. It sort of feels like you're eating a piece of garlic bread. Yeah, that's actually very good. I invite you to try this. Experiment with it. Use your own seasonings. See what you come up with. It's, this certainly is not a new recipe. I've seen it all over the internet with the cheeseless chaffle or paffle or whatever they're going to call it. I chose to make it into a pancake kind of a form, but you could really do a lot of different things with this basic recipe. Now I did cut the grass today, so I've got some clips of that, and hopefully I'll get some clips of dance thrown in here for you. But this is the main part of the video today with what I'm calling a carnivore pancake. If this is all the video you watch, don't forget, get out there, be 1% better today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next one.
Brush out flat, brush out